Hello and welcome to the Wisdom Workshop. Please like the video and subscribe with all notifications turned on so that you won't miss any of our wisdom improving videos. There are certain facts in life you don't need to know, like the fact that all Fruit Loop colors taste the same or the possibility that apples you buy at the supermarket may be older than a year. In this video, I'll share with you 7 money rules the affluent don't want you to know that'll make you view money in a whole new way because there are some things you need to know that others are withholding from you. Let's get started now. Number 1. The privacy principle. Most individuals would list all the things they would buy if they won more money if you ask them why they want to become wealthy. But is that truly the point of being wealthy? Wealth, according to author Morgan Housel of the book The Psychology of Money, is what you don't see. And he couldn't be more correct. Many of the wealthiest individuals I know don't drive fancy vehicles, live in fancy homes, or do anything extravagant. However, your eyes would likely roll back in your head if you saw their financial accounts. If we look a little closer at what this proverb truly implies, it really gives us some direction on how to go about accumulating riches. Once more, the phrase, "wealth is what you don't see," refers to the idea that part of getting affluent is not bragging, serving as a pleasant reminder that all the material possessions we acquire are in direct opposition to our objective of achieving financial prosperity. We may all agree theoretically that the more you buy, the less money you have, but it can be hard to practice financial conservatism into reality. Even if life isn't all about saving and investing, the more of it you can accomplish, the faster you'll become wealthy. There's always that new car or vacation beckoning to us, so if your current goal is to get wealthy so that you can purchase everything, you might want to reconsider. Don't equate financial success with possessions. Instead, focus on the sense of control and freedom it may bring. I say this because the more you acquire, the more difficult it is to become wealthy, but the contrary is true the less you need. Number 2. The savings principle. You've been instructed to save money your whole life. Your parents advised you to put money away for a rainy day, the media advised you to hoard your cash, and banks are of course more than delighted to accept your funds. Should you really be saving money though? No, hardly ever. Saving money, as some people claim, is not the way to success and riches. In actuality, the only person who gains wealth from your savings is the bank. Banks use your money to make a significant portion of their revenue, which you might not be aware of. They collect your deposits and give you a pittance while lending the money out to others at enticing interest rates. Does this imply that you shouldn't make any attempts to save money at all? Obviously not. Simply put, it implies you should be more deliberate about how much money you keep in the bank. For instance, I only deposit into the bank the amount necessary to pay my regular expenditures and any unexpected needs. Being on the more cautious side, I prefer to have a year's worth of costs saved up, but for someone just starting out, having anything from 3 to 6 months set up is an excellent objective. I then spend the remaining funds on investments like index funds and real estate. You should aim to save as little as possible while investing as much as possible, since doing so enables you to create considerably higher profits than the bank could possibly offer. Number 3. The principle of time. The vast majority of wealthy people will tell you that time is our most important resource. Unfortunately, most individuals don't understand how time plays a role in accumulating money, and as a result, the majority of people will spend the most of their lives in a condition of financial mediocrity. But those who do master time also tend to master money, and they achieve this by being aware of the 2 essential concepts I want to discuss with you right now. First off, since you're only exchanging your time, it is almost difficult to exchange time for money. There are only so many hours in the day, and unless you're making an absurd amount of money every hour, it might be difficult to create a 6-figure salary on your own. This is assuming that your goal is to make decent money and become wealthy before you enter adulthood. The second issue with time is that as we become older, we often have less of it available to devote to earning money. For instance, if I were young and unmarried, I would have no trouble working 14 hours a day. However, time is not a resource you can utilize in order to get wealthy once you begin to have homeowner and relationship duties or when you add children to the equation. Because of this, when seeking to accumulate money, the wealthiest among us look farther than just their own 24 hours. The wealthiest individuals on the Forbes list are all company owners who have benefited from the time, money, and skills of others. This is not an accident. Does this imply then that you have a flawed understanding of how time works? Certainly not. All of this is to suggest that in order to become wealthy, you must recognize the importance of time in the process of accumulating money. For instance, gaining the professional expertise necessary to advance up the corporate ladder takes time. It takes time to figure out how to launch your first business and grow it to the income levels you desire, and it surely takes time to use the stock market and compound interest to your advantage to become wealthy. Ask Warren Buffett, for example. Building money is 10 times simpler if you understand how to maximize use of both your own and other people's time. Number 4. The utility principle. What comes to mind when you think about having money? Do you consider putting food on the table, buying a new dress to wear to the club this weekend, or purchasing a new car? If any of these ideas pop into your head, it's a sign that you grasp the true nature of money, that it is only a tool we may use to buy the things we desire or need. Unfortunately, many individuals make mistakes here and there because they don't fully understand the true value that money offers. For instance, if your salary is currently low, it's likely that you believe that increasing it will take care of the majority of your problems. Money can cure financial problems, but it can also cause a wide range of other problems. For instance, if your spouse isn't in love with you yet you're working twice as hard and generating twice as much money as you were before, you may be having relationship problems. You haven't been to the gym in a month because of your hectic schedule, and your regular fitting jeans are beginning to feel a bit tight. This is not to imply that you shouldn't work to increase your income either. Your total quality of life should be gradually rising as long as you are addressing more problems than you're generating. There isn't a single individual on this planet, though, who is completely problem-free, so it's crucial to remember that. For instance, if you're a millionaire, you might not have to worry about expenses, but family members might constantly beg you for money. On the other hand, you could find it difficult to shake the fear that you might one day lose all the money you've worked hard for. Therefore, while you should want to earn as much money as you can, never allow that to deceive you into believing that having more money would guarantee a life without problems. Number 5. The Precautionary Principle. Have you ever questioned why you go to work? Most likely it's not because you enjoy hearing about your coworkers' personal problems, or because you enjoy staying late to fulfill a deadline that isn't feasible. For the majority of individuals, the solution is straightforward. You work to pay your bills and then retire. Unfortunately, while most individuals have the ability to accumulate, spending years working to earn the money they need to achieve their goals, they lack the ability to protect themselves, delaying their journey to financial independence longer than necessary. So, what does the ability to protect involve? We have to fight off enemies that try to steal your money every single day. Your wife has been pleading with you to take the trip, but it'll cost you 3 years worth of money. Or maybe it could be the opulent house that your parents want you to purchase to preserve the family name. It could be the $60,000 vehicle that you're hoping would bring enthusiasm back into your life. These are all financial enemies that stand between you and your main objective of financial independence. Anyone can go out and earn money, as you can see. How people handle their resources, though, is what distinguishes those who become and remain wealthy from others who experience financial hardship. Internalizing this is crucial since, similarly to how a poor diet can't be outrun by exercise, a spending issue cannot be overcome. The more guarded you are with your money, the better. Number 6. The Expectational Principle. If you're like most people, then you've undoubtedly convinced yourself that until you achieve a specific income or net worth level, that you'll be satisfied. I know that I've told myself this hundreds of times. However, what I've come to discover through time, and you may have too, is that getting to our stated objective never entirely satisfies us. It merely motivates us to push the goalpost further. For me, I promised myself that I would be content as soon as my salary at work reached $80,000 annually. Once I arrived, though, I made the decision that making $100,000 would be preferable than making $120,000, and so on and so forth. Does this mean you shouldn't set yourself financial goals? Not at all, but delaying happiness till later is a grave error, and regrettably, the majority of us continue to do so every day. Now, why is it crucial to understand this? Because even though you probably related to what I said when I said it, most of us don't truly internalize this idea and instead constantly keep moving the goalposts. And what I've learned through time is that when our current condition and desired state don't match, this is when irritation and unhappiness occur. Let's assume for illustration that you started a brand new job last year with a salary of $75,000. Once those payments started arriving, you were more than happy since this is the money you knew you earned. You feel you should be making $80,000, yet despite a year of excellent performance and the accumulation of additional experience, your salary is still $75,000. Resentment then begins to develop when you suddenly believe that you ought to be earning $5,000 more per year but aren't. Your expectation gap is this $5,000 difference, and as long as it persists, you'll never be content. People who earn $150,000 annually, for instance, may feel sad because they feel they should be earning $200,000 annually. On the contrary, there are individuals earning $50,000 a year who are overjoyed since they had never anticipated earning more than $40,000. To be financially comfortable, you must thus reduce the gap between your expectations. You may do this by aiming higher or by lowering your expectations. Regardless of what you decide, there's a good chance you won't be content until you make it. Number 7. The Obligation Principle. What's the nicest thing about being a kid? No, it's not about having your mom choose your clothing or heading outside for lunchtime. Being a child with no obligations and no worries in the world is the finest. Sadly, we must ultimately assume some obligations since we can't stay in this condition of total joy forever. We assume obligations, for instance, at work, in our homes, and more particularly, in the assets and liabilities we acquire. Now, the items we purchase do indeed offer us additional usefulness. Purchasing a home, for instance, provides us with a location to raise our family, and ideally an asset that will increase in value over time. It does, however, take just as much as it offers. For instance, it forces us to make monthly mortgage payments, worry about house upkeep, and keeps us anchored in a single city or town. It's absurd that this is an instance of productive debt. The upside is almost negligible when compared to other types of debt, such as credit card debt. At best, you get a little convenience, but you also have to deal with continuing interest fees and repayments, each of which reduces your financial freedom a little bit more. The affluent know that having riches has less to do with how many things you possess and more to do with how little stuff owns you. In other words, your level of wealth is directly related to how free you feel. While having a big house or a fancy car is great, when these things start to limit your daily activities or force you to live a certain way, they suddenly reduce your level of wealth, regardless of how easily you can afford them. Therefore, your objective should be to free yourself from financial ties in order to feel richer regardless of how much money you have. Pay off your credit card and school loan debt. Aim to be mortgage-free. When you do, you'll feel far wealthier than you do now. Well, I really appreciate you watching this video. Please comment below with your opinions, and as usual, if you haven't already, like and subscribe to this video with all notifications turned on.